Hello, Giants fans, and welcome to your Valentine's Views podcast for Thursday, November 10th. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts across the Big Blue View Radio Network. All right, Giants fans, wanted to talk about the Giants passing attack and the fact that we heard on Wednesday from a couple of injured Giants who might be able to return during the second half of the season to give Daniel Jones and Mike Kafka some more options for guys to throw to as the Giants try to make a playoff push here in the second half of the season. Heard from wide receiver Kenny Golladay and tight end Daniel Bellinger on Wednesday. And we'll get to a little bit of audio and some of my thoughts on what both of those guys said here in a couple of minutes. Before we do that, I just wanted to quickly say that I've read and heard the opinion in the past few days that Joe Schoen not trading for a wide receiver at the deadline was showing a lack of faith in the 2022 Giants, showing a lack of belief in the idea that they can make a real playoff push. And I just have to react to that. I think that stance is nonsense. What Joe Schoen did at the 2022 trade deadline is what he thought was the best thing for the future of the Giants franchise, the best thing long term. In all honesty, there was no deal for a wide receiver or a tight end out there that was going to make the New York Giants a Super Bowl team in 2022. The reality of it is the Giants are having a nice run here. They might make the playoffs. And that's great, but it's gravy when you look at what the Giants are trying to accomplish here. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are at the beginning of a restructure of this team. They're at the beginning of building something that they hope will be a long-term success, will be a Super Bowl contender, something that will turn into what the Buffalo Bills look like right now, something that will turn into what the Kansas City Chiefs look like right now. The Giants, 6-2, that's great. It's been a lot of fun. Fingers crossed that they make the playoffs, because that would be awesome, and it would be a great thing as Daboll and Schoen try to build a culture and all of those things. But 2022 is not the point for the New York Giants. 2023 and beyond, and building something long-term and sustainable is the point. And I believe that Joe Schoen did the right thing by holding on to his assets, looking at the situation and assessing the fact that getting a wide receiver maybe in the draft where you've got that wide receiver for 4 years, maybe 5 if you draft him in the first round, is better than maybe having a guy for a year and a half and having to give up premium assets to get that player. So I think Schoen did the right thing. I don't think at all that it's saying I don't have faith in this team. Maybe what Schoen is saying is I think this team is fine the way it is. I think there's enough players here. I think the coaching staff is good enough. We're doing well. I think we can make the playoffs this way, and I don't want to mess with our future. So I think that what he did was absolutely fine. And as I said, I'm not buying this argument that he showed a lack of faith or a lack of belief in the 2022 Giants. All right, let me get off my soapbox here for a minute. And the first thing I'm going to do here is play some audio for you from Kenny Golladay on Wednesday.
Be back and practicing in the flow here.
Real excited, definitely a smile on my face when I'm out there with the guys.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. Yeah, I feel good. We stacked 2 good days on top of each other. Little break tomorrow, get a little treatment done, come back Friday, put another one on top of another one.
there any doubt? Do you think you can play on Sunday?
That's what I'm pushing towards right now.
All right, it was good to hear from Golladay, who seems to be trending toward a return on Sunday. Golladay hasn't played since week 4 when he suffered a sprained MCL. Listen, we know that Golladay hasn't been productive for the Giants this year. He only has 2 catches for 22 yards in the 4 games that he did play in. He was a disappointment last year in a wreck of a season for the Giants. That 4-year, $72 million contract looks like an albatross. But the one thing that I have to say about Kenny Golladay is not a malcontent. Kenny Golladay is a stand-up guy. He's a guy who always talks to media, tells media the truth. He seems to be a guy who's a good presence in the Giants locker room. He's not a malcontent in any way, shape, or form. He's not a problem in terms of attitude, work ethic, any of that stuff. The problem simply has been that Golladay hasn't been healthy and has underperformed. Fingers crossed here that Golladay, who looked really happy, really excited about the possibility of playing on Sunday against the Texans, fingers crossed that Golladay can remain healthy over the final 9 games and give the Giants something. Give the Giants a little bit more in the passing attack. I mean, the bar is not high. You're looking at giving the Giants more than what Marcus Johnson has been giving the Giants, more maybe as a receiver than what David Sills has been giving the Giants. And listen, I know that's not the bar that you'd like to set for a guy who's making the kind of money that Golladay is making, but really that's what you're looking at this point is if he can give the Giants more than Marcus Johnson has been giving the Giants, then that's an upgrade, and that's fine at this point. The second player we're going to hear from is tight end Daniel Bellinger, who's still on IR as he recovers from that fractured eye socket, which required surgery. Bellinger was in the locker room on Wednesday, spoke to media, seemed upbeat and optimistic that he would return this season. So let's hear a little bit from Bellinger.
How scary was it when it happened?
Oh, incredibly scary. Just when it first happened, I kept getting really puffy and it was kind of numb around the eyes, so I was afraid that it was the actual eye. So I was afraid at first, but once I got to the hospital, the doctor looked at the eye and said the actual eye was okay. I calmed down.
So you went to the hospital in Jacksonville and then you went back and left with the team, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess seeing blood is a frightening thing. Also.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was actually bleeding as much as it was at first, just because it was all numb right here. So I thought it was just sweat just coming down. Yeah, I didn't realize it was blood until a little bit later.
Is your vision full now, or is there still blurriness at all? Or?
I can see, the vision's good now. Still a little double vision, but like I said, it's normal. The doctor said it's going away day by day.
Did they give you any idea of timeline? Hard to predict. Maybe
Yeah, no
like
specific timeline, but they just said just kind of go how I feel, and then once the plate's kind of more healed up with the bone.
Are you knowing how you feel and what they say? Are you confident you can play again this season?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely confident I can play again this season. Just getting out there running the last couple of days felt good. Really just kind of just getting this swelling to go down completely, and then once the eyes kind of level with this eye, the vision will be back.
All right, it was great to hear Bellinger upbeat, optimistic, smiling. It was great to see on the video that you guys will be able to see if you're watching on YouTube. It was great to see that Bellinger's eye looked a lot better than it did when he was carted off the field a few weeks ago after being hit in the eye in the Jacksonville game. It's great to know that there's not going to be any long-term issues. I mean, when a guy suffers an eye injury, there's always worry, for me anyway, that goes beyond football, that extends into a guy's life and what might happen over the long term. But it's fantastic news that Bellinger appears to be on his way to being just fine, and that he could be back to help the Giants before the end of the 2022 season. All right, Giants fans, thank you as always for listening. Please take care of each other and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.